Good morning and welcome to Real Deal Sports Show, broadcasting to you live from the Rock Palm Broker Studios on this Saturday morning. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Real Deal Sports Show. We bring it to you live every Saturday morning right here on WLGZ HD2, The Beat 105.5, Rochester, New York. But check us out on the podcast, coming to you live on that podcast action on YouTube, Real Deal Sports Show. And also check us out after every Bills game. Tomorrow night, we'll be in after Cincinnati game in Cincinnati, Ohio. We will be live with you coming after the Buffalo Bills Cincinnati Bengals football game. We'll give you the updates and the whole 9 yards of what's going on, our take on the Buffalo Bills football. Good morning, J-GILLZ. Good morning, J-GILLZ. How you doing?
Good morning to the Rad Man, to the 105.5 Beat family. What's going on, Rochester? How y'all feeling? We got a lot to talk about. Sports is back in full effect. Basketball, NBA, just wrapped up the World Series, so you already know where to keep it tuned into, to the fanatics of J-GILLZ and, of course, the Rad Man every Saturday morning.
That's right. Coming to you live from the Rock Palm Broker Studios. Check us out every Saturday morning. Hey, they got some great deals over there at Rock Palm Broker. Check them out. We salute the Buffalo 10 every week. We dedicate the show to the Buffalo 10. This is just, it's another week. We will never forget May 22nd, 2022, the dastardly act that took place on May 14th, 2022, that dastardly act that took place at the top supermarket in Buffalo, New York. We dedicate the show to the Buffalo 10 every week. J-GILLZ, we had so many to talk about last week. Let's finish off our last week take. Dwight Howard, what's going on with this guy, man? What happened, man? I'm not shocked. I mean, I've interviewed him a few times in the locker room, and he's not a very good interview, and he does have a rough little attitude that I was like, oh, man, I ain't got time for this, man. That's what
he on Brandon Marshall time? Right, man? He on that Brandon Marshall time?
Huh?
He's on that Brandon Marshall time? He was a bad interview?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. Yeah. Yes. He goes along with Brandon Marshall as well. Yes, indeed. So what's your take on his current situation?
Well, Rad Man, it's a lot going on in the news, not just a court of public opinion, but in actual court, legal documents, some accusations going on with Dwight Howard in regards to allegedly sexually assaulting another man. And that's something that I'm not sure how deep you're going to dive into, but I'm going to stay away from that one, right, man? I'm going to stay away from that one.
Yeah, that's a little rough, man. Everybody was speculating why he wasn't picked up by an NBA team, because he's good enough to still play in the NBA, and he should be on an NBA team right now, but he had to go to Europe. So maybe these teams, investigators may have saw something or heard about or knew this was coming down the line and said, hey, man, let's not bring this to our team and bring this type of news and notoriety and distractions from our NBA operation. So maybe that's why he's not with an NBA team right now, because they may have known this was coming up down real soon, which was quite surprising to see these accusations, and especially drawn out in the public the way it has been on these different people. You can go online and read about it, but we're just giving our take on it. You just can't put your business in the street like that, and that's just so with anything else with these with social media and the whole 9 yards. Just be careful out there. People. Yes, indeed. And
to a basketball point, I will say this on a basketball level. I absolutely agree. Dwight Howard, to me, is good enough to be in the NBA, especially in his current NBA. He's still a great defensive player, excellent rebounder, and he still adds value and size. He's an Adonis when he's out there in the paint, very strong. Him next to AD won him a championship down in LA. He took that team to the finals in Orlando. And when you look at a team like Golden State and the other teams that were looking at him, obviously this court case heavily played a role in his absence in the league right now. Hopefully, once this gets done and settled, maybe in the season or not, maybe he will end up back in the NBA, but who's to say?
And that just shows you, no matter how good your talents are, if things happen in society off the court, that can also slow you down. And that's a perfect example of getting yourself together and keeping your business, not putting your business out in the street. at all.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. And one other take that we was just the last take from last week we wrapping up on. But what's this about dating, man? What's this where women say they don't want to go to Applebee's on the first date or McDonald's? Well, I can see McDonald's, but Applebee's and some of these other food chains of that sort. I thought Red Lobster was a good date back in my day, man. Girls, young ladies were happy for me to take them to Red Lobster or Red Lobster, as we used to call it back in the day. What's going on, man? What these young ladies done raised their level up higher? What's going on?
I guess so. Hey, Ratman, I'm a married man, happily married, going on 3 years. So all this dating stuff, you know what I mean? My wife is already, we take her anywhere. I will say the value of Red Lobster has gone down. It ain't the same quality food, especially with all these great seafood restaurants around this world right now. But yeah, Red Lobster definitely ain't the same. But any woman should be happy to, any man want to take them out, spend their hard-earned money and doing all of that. Anybody take you to Red Lobster, that means more than likely they're working hard because that's the place they can afford to take you to. So come on now. Any woman should be grateful for that, in my opinion, but it's a new society. You know what I didn't see? I didn't see a list of how many women are taking these men out on dates. Huh? Oh, what happened to that? What happened to the woman taking the man out and the man taking the woman out? It's called cohesion. It's called coming together, and that's what it's going to take.
Absolutely. And back in the day, when you were dating more than 3 years ago, obviously, you want to go out on a date, you want to go out. But I think you got to judge a book by its cover, and it shouldn't be you shouldn't be having to take someone out, just and say, oh, I don't. If you're taking the Applebee's, cool, but don't suggest they should take the 2 for $20 or the 2 for $30 deal. You shouldn't suggest that to the young lady if you're gonna go to Applebee's and go that route. Right. I don't see nothing wrong, but they're not an advertiser, so I won't. I'm just mentioning them just for this list. I was just shocked at all these restaurants that made this list of where women don't want men to take them to. I'm like, well, guys, where you want us to take you to? I mean, hold up. I know Papa Do's is not in Rochester. I'm in Houston or Dallas or somewhere, Papa Do's, or, you're in New Orleans. There's all kinds of great places to take them to. But you might be in a market like here in Western New York where your options are not as they're not as good as down in New Orleans, man, or in different parts of the country. So I don't know where those young ladies were from. Were they from the East Coast or West Coast or where that list came from? But I was a little bit set back that, come on, man, if the guy is nice and you want to go out with him and he asks you out, you say, yeah, you want to go out with him. I mean, you should, it shouldn't be about how much they spend on you on the first date. This is talking about the first date, J-GILLZ. So you talking about the first or second date. This is not getting married or nothing like that. I mean, they shouldn't be upset, right?
Exactly. Absolutely. And we got to talk about the age too. What age was this list created? Because back when I was in high school, I was definitely taking, I think my wife's first date was Applebee's. And I was in about what? I was in freshman in college or something. So come on now. You got to show some respect to the game.
Exactly. You like you're saying, you're in college and different things. And obviously, you're on a budget. You're on a shoestring budget. Hey, the local diner might be a good place to go or something. So, ladies, don't price yourself out of the market. You'll be maybe sitting at home like some of these football players that might have priced themselves out of the market, like some of these cats that not with an NFL team at the present time because you set your expectations. It's good to have high expectations, but don't set them overly high and overly marketable on where you won't go on a first or second date. I think that's too much unreality. Let's get back into reality and real reality, and now segue us into the NFL. And speaking of people sitting at home, Linville Joseph, defensive tackle, big man. We interviewed him at the Super Bowl last year. He was a member of the Philadelphia Eagles, and I was surprised. I even told him back there. I said, "Wow, on TV you don't look this big. I mean, this guy's 6'4", 304. I mean, he took up the whole screen, man. This guy's 6'4", 340 pounds. He's a mammoth cat, man. He's a big guy. But kudos to Brandon Beane and them in the scouting department to go out and find these veteran players and that's what the game is coming to. A lot of these NFL veterans are not going with a team for training camp anymore. They're just sitting at home saying, nah, we'll wait until we see, what's going on, how things shake out, how injuries go, which teams need players. And then they pick and choose. They get to pick, the older guys get to pick and choose and make a lot. Now this contract is maybe worth up to, could be total of $3.6 million for 9 to 10 games. That's not a bad deal. Mm. And you save the wear and tear on your body as well, J-GILLZ. What's your take on that?
Absolutely. I thought that was an excellent pickup as well. I noted in my last article I wrote for the Buffalo Presbyterian and also for Zeal Talk Upstate, 3 trade options that the Buffalo Bills could do. I focused in on Chicago Bears defensive tackle Andrew Billings, another massive man. But to get Linval Joseph for this price, not have to give up anything, or was it a 6th-round pick, or what was it?
No, he was a free agent. He was at home.
Right, he was a free agent, not having to give up anything to get this guy. And I think he's going to plug in superbly right next to Daquan Jones. I'm sorry, not Daquan Jones, but an Ed Oliver in that rotation with a Tim Settle, and of course with Big Jordan Phillips, and then with edging it out with Leonard Floyd and Von Miller, who hopefully can bounce back after the rough start of the season that he's had trying to get prepared from injury. So I think he's going to be an excellent piece to this Buffalo Bills defensive line in the run game. And I think it was a kudos to Brandon Beane for going out and looking at what he needed and getting it done for sure.
Absolutely. It seems to be he's better with free agents and finding talent off the field than those top draft picks. He doesn't seem to be the best with the actual top draft picks each year. He's good at getting guys diamond in the roughs and finding veteran guys that can come in and fill a need. And also Leonard Fournette, the New Orleans native, coming up here. He was wearing shorts the first practice out there on Wednesday. You can see the snow piled up. It's obvious Orchard Park had a lot of snow over last weekend. And during practice, you can see in the background snowbanks up against the fence. I'm saying, wow, they got a lot of snow out there in Orchard Park. We didn't get anything like that here in the city of Buffalo or in Rochester, New York proper. We didn't get any. We got snow, a little wet snow, but not no hard snow like they had out there. And he was running around in shorts talking about it's colder than a penguin. Hey, man, that ain't cold yet, man. Hey, J-GILLZ, somebody better tell him, man, this ain't cold weather yet. Now it hasn't got cold yet in Western New York.
No.
Tell that brother, man, he ain't in New Orleans or Tampa.
He is used to that. He used to that down south. He used to that Florida. He's from Florida, so he's used to that heat. So he was trying to make a point, make an impact statement with those shorts on, and it wasn't until the next day, the very next day, when he was fully suited and booted, dressed up, had his hands in his pocket. He knew what it was. But another great pickup from Brandon Beane. My God, I've been clamoring for the Bills to go and get another running back. I thought Dalvin Cook would have been the answer, but to get playoff Lenny for the second half of the season, oh my God, with how Josh Allen's been playing, his efficiency, leading the league in completion percentage, being able to dump it off to a back, and now you got a savvy veteran who can make it happen with the pass. Oh my God, this is going to be a great piece. But he's also behind, obviously, James Cook and Latavius Murray. So I think he's an added and needed piece, and I think he'll definitely make an impact on this offense.
I agree, and because he's a veteran, and he's an excellent pass blocker too. He doesn't get enough credit for his pass blocking. Leonard Fournette is an outstanding pass blocker, so he can read defenses better. He could actually help Josh Allen with, hey man, they come in this. He could actually help him out. Maybe once he get in tune with him in a few weeks, maybe 4 to 5 weeks down the road, he gets in tune. He can also see where the blitz is coming and be able to pick it up, help him pick up the blitzers coming in. Something that James Cook isn't good at. You got to give the ball to James Cook in space. Get the ball to Cook in space. Stop running them in between the tackles. You should be giving that to Latavius Murray. And people, once again, just like the devil, I call it the Devin Singletary syndrome. They complaining about Latavius Murray. He hasn't touched the ball. What are you talking about? Oh well, he hasn't been an impactful player. How can you be an impactful player when you're not getting the touches? He had 5 attempts for 7 yards. He only touched the ball 5 times for 7 yards. What kind of plays were they? Were they obvious running plays? Were they set up in a formation where the defense figured that the Bills were going to try to run? It's hard to tell. But when you get 7 and 5, you got Cook with 14 rushes for 67 yards. Once again, Cook was averaging 4.8 yards a carry. This was the game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Buffalo Bills' last game back on Thursday, a week ago Thursday. If you got 14 attempts, James Cook should have had 20 attempts in that game. If he averaging 4.8 yards a carry, that means you only got 6 yards left to gain a first down. So he really can make things happen and make some plays for you. You just got to run the football. Give it to Murray. Give it to Cook, but give it to Cook in space. Now you can put Leonard Fournette in there, and Leonard Fournette can have a big impact. It depends on, as the mighty O, the big O just said, he don't know about Lenny having a big impact. It's definitely how you use him. If the Bills can give him the ball and have him go in between the tackles, and you throw the ball in space to James Cook, That opens up Khalil Secure. That guy's an excellent receiver. Give him the ball more. You got Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs shouldn't be getting targeted 15 times in a game. The Bills have talent. Dalton Kincaid is now somebody. Why somebody got to get hurt for Dalton Kincaid to say, "Hey, your number one draft pick looks pretty good. He made some excellent catches again." Why? See, that's why I have a problem with Dorsey. Why won't you come out the gate using these guys? You got Dawson Knox. You throwing the ball to a guy that's known for dropping the ball, and you just drafted your number one draft pick, Dalton Kincaid. You didn't even kick the tires on him yet. He's brand new. He found that catch he made on the sideline. That was one of the best catches I've seen in the last few years by a Buffalo Bills tight end. I mean, that footwork. He catches. He uses his hands. Yep. Dawson Knox should be learning from this guy how to catch a football.
Last thought on Leonard Fournette. Also to the Bills Mafia there. Let's send him some love. This is more of a redemption story for those who didn't know. Back in June of this year, when he got into that horrific car accident, luckily he came out untouched, but the car caught on fire, it was demolished, and he was quoted saying that he was still blessed to be able to be here today. So, Bills Mafia, show him some love on his Instagram or Twitter or X now. Give him some love, and, it's just a good redemption story for old Leonard Fournette.
Yeah, yes, indeed. It's a good story. Glad he's still with us and he's able to continue to play the game. Definitely give him an opportunity to play football at this high level. And also the Bills got a cornerback, Rasul Douglas, in the deal, J-GILLZ. And we're going to bring in our next guest, sponsored by Miriam Rivera Insurance Agency. I should say the award-winning Miriam Rivera Insurance Agency. Check out Miriam Rivera Insurance for auto, home, health, and life insurance. She makes sure you get the real deal in insurance, health, auto, home, health, and life insurance. 1038 Lyle Avenue or 511 Bean Road, Suite B, 585-360-0094. She just not putting her plaques on the wall. She's such a humble person. Miriam Rivera, very nice, sweet lady. Very nice person. I said, Miriam, you won all these awards. I said, wow, you should have been put these up on your office. I mean, she's an insurance agent of the year. And listen to me, people out there in Radio Land. Would you rather go to somebody that don't have any plaques on the wall, or how about going to an insurance agent that has all kinds of plaques and was a farmer insurance agent of the year? How about think about it? Think about it. If she's the agent of the year, that means she's making things happen. She's making things pop. So. Go on over there to Miriam Rivera Insurance Agency. Give her a call, 360-0094. She'll save you a hell of a lot of money. She saved the Rad Man and his family a lot of money. And I guarantee you, she'll continue to save other people a lot of money. So give her a chance for that auto, home, health, and life insurance options. And now we bring on from WROC TV8 sportscaster Carl Jones. Carl, welcome to Real Deal Sports Show. How you doing this morning?
Man, I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed. I appreciate you guys having me on, man. It's always good to be able to talk shop and talk Bills football, always.
Yes, indeed.
My guy.
Yeah,
good to see you this morning, man.
You had an excellent analysis of Rasul Douglas. And can you take us through why you think the Buffalo Bills chose to end up making a trade with the Green Bay Packers for Rasul Douglas?
Yeah, well, once Trey White went down, I think there was a need for another corner. Once they kind of felt that Kaiir Elam couldn't really fill the void that they desire as that corner opposite of Christian Benford that they had that plan going into the season, right? So that was first and foremost. And then they kicked the tires on a bunch of corners. Jalen Johnson, notably from the Chicago Bears. Apparently the asking price just wasn't something that the Bills were too enthused with. I know there were a couple of other guys around the league. I'm sure everyone, all 31 teams asked about Patrick Surtain, but this is not Madden. This is the real world when it comes to getting a guy of that caliber. But when it comes to Rasul Douglas, he brings something that the Bills defense, quite frankly, hasn't had since Trey White was healthy a few years back, which is a playmaking cornerback, someone who can take the ball away, 10 interceptions in the past 3 years. That's third in the NFL for all defensive backs during that time span. For how well Christian Benford has looked over the first year and a half in the NFL, he hasn't been a guy who takes the ball away consistently. Same with Dane Jackson since he's been in the NFL. And you can play as well as you can be all get out at cornerback, but taking the ball away is still a huge, huge deal at that position because it's so hard to play football anyways, defensively. So taking the ball away at least helps you out, and getting the ball back to Josh Allen is always a good thing. So I think first and foremost, when you just turn on the tape, you see a ball hawk and a guy who takes the ball away, which is always premium in the NFL.
Yes, indeed. And for someone of that nature, do you think he fits into the system of that zone type coverage that the Bills like to use?
100%. For those at home, the Packers ran zone coverage at 77% of the time defensively when he was there. The Bills also run it 77% of the time. So it'll be a seamless fit in terms of a cornerback who's always has his eyes to the football. Because I will say it is a bit of a transition playing the position with guys who always have their back to the football, always guarding a man, as opposed to eyes on the football, eyes on the quarterback, and reacting that way. It is a transition. Just like for the past year and a half, we've seen how Kyrie Elam has probably struggled a little bit in his transition from man-heavy scheme that he played at Florida in college. Sean McDermott asked you to be a zone-heavy guy and always have your eyes back to the quarterback. So Rasul Douglas will have no problems with that. He is a he's a high IQ player in terms of that stuff. You can tell when you watch his tape, he's very reactionary, he's heady, he's smart, and the raw concepts develop in front of him, and he's able to diagnose that stuff at a high level.
Excellent. Go ahead,
To that point, Carl, how many weeks do you think it's going to take? I know it's going to be a seamless fit as far as the scheme fit, coming from a scheme, going to the Buffalo Bills scheme, a Sean McDermott scheme. How many weeks can Buffalo Bills fans and Bills Mafia expect him to really gel together with that glue, I call it back there, that super glue, and the Micah Hyde and the Jordan Poyer and the Kristen Bedford playing together for so long and so many years? How long will it take for him to really glue into that gel?
Yeah, now hear me out when I say this, because having played corner, it's my baby. I love everything about the position, right? Mm-hmm. I think it's the second hardest position to actually physically play in football outside of quarterback. But in terms of learning the position, like on a playbook, I think it might be the easiest, because there's only a couple things that you can do on a snap by snap basis. You either guard the man in front of you or you get back. Like, there's not a lot of things for a cornerback to do on a snap by snap basis. I know that the hardest transition for him is probably some of the signals, some of the hand signals, some of the minute details that change from defense to defense. I'm not making any predictions on terms of when he'll play, because, they might need him this weekend. Cincinnati has a high potent offense, and you're going to need all of your guys in the secondaries, and they hamstrings warmed up when you got T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Tyler Boyd and company coming when you got to go down there in Cincinnati. But in terms of when you see him at his fullest potential, probably 2 weeks, I'd say. Mm-hmm. But I would not be shocked whatsoever if he's out there Sunday. Hey, Sean McDermott's going to be like, hey, man, it's man this play. All right, guard the dude in front of you. All right, it's cover 3. Get deep. It's cover 2. Sit in your flat. He's been doing that his entire life. It's much, much different than a quarterback who has to learn the entire playbook, or a receiver. Mm-hmm. Cornerback is not that hard on the brain in terms of learning the defense.
Okay, right.
Absolutely. And let everybody know, Carl Jones, you were a defensive back for Syracuse University, correct?
Yes, I was. I played cornerback at Syracuse, a little safety too there, 1 out of the 4 years there. 2016 to 2019. I'm hurting right now even having to say that, because we had a tough loss to Boston College last night. Yeah. Down to the wire. But regardless, riding with my orange through thick and thin. But yeah, it's my baby. I've been playing the position, fell in love with it, everything about it, man. Physical, the mental side of it, the swagger, all the good type of stuff. Players like, Deion was before my time, but just seeing how guys like him brought a new swag to the position up until Darrelle Revis, Sherm. Just everything about the position I'm in love with. So when the Bills brought in Rasul Douglas, I was locked in, watching all the film, what the players had to say about him. I was very excited, and still am excited about the move.
And what is it that makes Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer so good? Every time I go to the visiting locker room, they say they're the best at disguising the coverages. He said Baker Mayfield really said it best. Most of them don't say they did say they're really good at it. But Baker Mayfield asked him, and he turned around and said, "You know what?" He said, He said, usually one of the guys gives it away before the ball is snapped. You usually can tell, because one of those safety gives it away. But he said those two guys, he said they must have been playing together a hell of a long time, because he said they don't give anything away.
It's instincts. It's quite frankly that. I know Brandon Beane earlier this week, when referring to Rasul Douglas and what he brings to the table, he said he's an instinctual player. And I was one of the players who not necessarily got this part of the game, but I'll never forget when a coach told us back at Syracuse, there are some things that I can't draw up for you out there. You're just going to have to be able to react out there and be a football player.
Mm-hmm.
And we've all heard the phrase, be a ball player, right? Just go out there and make a play. Well, that's much easier said than done when it doesn't come innate. When some of the stuff that coach doesn't write for you on the whiteboard, you got to go up and beyond a little bit, right? And Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde are the definition of that. There are some things where Sean McDermott, quite frankly, can't hold your hand out there for. So what are you going to do to go above and beyond to make sure that the defense is executing at a high level? And they've seen it all. They've been in the league about 10 years at this point, both of them. They've seen everything, very experienced players, smart players. And the fact that they're able to disguise those coverages, because quite frankly, once again, I love the secondary, everything about it. But when you watch the film back, you still are like, wait a second. What coverage are they running here? Just because of how well they're disguising a pre-snap. So watching those guys play is just a treat to see, man, because they do a phenomenal job. They may not impress you with the physical aspect of the game. Neither guys are 4'3". Neither guys are jumping out the gym, right?
Kind of old.
Right. And especially not at the ages that they're playing right now. But what they do make up for it is just how smart they are and all the little things they bring to the game.
And my last question in regards to Rasul in the Buffalo Bills, do you see this as a long-term fit, or is this just a quick fix for this season with Trey White being out? How well do you see him being a Buffalo Bill long-term?
Yeah, I think the two moves are separated. I'm not going to lie. Like, I think Trey White can still recover on his own timeline, and the Bills will see what he looks like. I don't think that they're making a declaration either way. I think if I had to sit up here today and say, are they banking on Trey White to come back and be Trey White? No. Like, if I had to guess right now, probably not. But then also, there's no guaranteed money on Rasul Douglas' contract going into next year. So they can cut ties with him if he doesn't have the next 9-game and then playoff stretch that they desire. So I think it's a little bit of both. Like, Trey White is his own thing, but then also if Rasul Douglas continues to play at a high level that we've seen, especially in 2021 with the Packers, where he had a hell of a playoff run, 2 pick sixes, made an impact in that playoff game against the Buccaneers as a member of the Packers. So if he continues to excel, he's only 28, especially in the defense that's not a lot of oriented stuff. I would be more concerned about being 28 if he had to run around and chase someone all over the field. That's not the case in the Sean McDermott defense. It's a lot of the game is played more upstairs than it is with your legs. So, I mean, if he plays well, I can definitely see the Bills bringing him aboard, because now you have Christian Benford, who you can still see improving, and then Rasul Douglas, who has proven in this league that he can play.
Absolutely, and still, do you think Kaiir Elam? Do you think I know Brandon Beane said in his press conference the other day that he said, "Hey, he remember Josh Norman." He said it wasn't until Josh Norman's 3rd year that the light bulb went off, and that let me know. So, okay, so it's more of a mental learning there. It's more of the mental aspect of the game. What you were just saying, that it's more of a head game. Do you think he still would be? Because he's a great athlete. The guy is fast. He has all the attributes. But do you think this with some players it takes longer than others to garner this type of system?
For sure, and at this point, I don't know, and this is all speculative. I'm not in Kaiir Elam's headspace, and I got too much respect for sports to act like I am. But I think at this point in the game, it was his issue is all upstairs. I don't think it is really anything physical related, just because being any profession, right? We can take this to our jobs or any other person working at home. Once you get in that rut, it is really, really hard to get out of it, especially when you work so hard throughout the week and you don't see the return on game day, quote unquote, whether that's your job or in his case, Sunday, right? And he's kind of stuck because the Bills really need him to be good today. They don't care about tomorrow. And quite frankly, they shouldn't. They're in a Super Bowl window right now, and they need to make sure that they have the best 22 on the field every Sunday. They aren't the Arizona Cardinals who can afford to see a guy develop. They aren't some of these other teams who aren't competing for a Super Bowl this year. So it's stuck for him, and I feel bad to a certain extent. Having said that, is the story written for him? I don't think so. I honestly believe maybe Buffalo may not be the spot for him for that exact reason. He needs to be in a place where he can take his lumps and not look over his shoulder. Whether that's fair or not, he's a first-round pick. You're expected to play. So I'm not sitting that the Bills made a mistake in not playing him. Hey, you're first-round pick. You're expected to go out there and ball. Christian Benford has outplayed you to this point as a sixth-round guy, right?
Right.
So I don't think that the story is over with him. He's too talented for it to be, in my opinion. But you can tell just when you watch him play, you guys have seen him around the locker room and stuff like that. He doesn't have that same juice that he had when he first got here in April of 2022. So I think whether it's the offseason that's going to give him a reset or a new team in general, he needs to be in a spot where he can just woosah and kind of reset heading into next season.
That's what I was thinking. I thought they would trade him to an NFC team with, like you were saying earlier, with a similar defensive style that fits his skill set. That's why I'm surprised the Bills chose a player that didn't fit their skill set, especially on the defensive side, because these are defensive coaches. Sean McDermott, head coach, he's a defensive guy. I thought he would have chosen a guy that already could just plug right in and say, hey, learn the system. But then the guys they pick in the later rounds, the 5 through 7, it's amazing. A lot of GMs say that, hey, your 5th through 7th round guys are normally guys that don't make the team. You're just filling out the roster for training camp. But in the Brandon Beane, Sean McDermott era, these guys they get their starters from 5 through 7. So it's like, hold up, man, what's going on? And then your top guys, you don't start. It's like, wait a minute, then you trade your top guys away. It's like, hold on, man. So to me, Carl, are they doing it backwards or what? What's with Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott?
Yeah, I think a little bit of it is when you're in the higher rounds, you're gonna take a chance on the more of the athletic profile guys, right? Whether that's Gregory Rousseau, big, long defensive end, maybe not a lot of experience at the position, but you'll take a chance on his physical attributes and hope the rest of his game catch up. And then obviously the greatest example of that is 2 years ago with Kaiir Elam, where he he doesn't fit what you do defensively, right? But you're hoping that what he does defensively is so great that you can maybe transition your defense a little bit, because don't get it twisted. If Kaiir Elam was the great fit in a lockdown corner and may not be the perfect fit zone-wise, what the Bills do, they would change their defense to make sure that Kaiir Elam could still be a lockdown man corner and be a benefit to this defense. He just quite frankly hasn't done any of it, whether it's man or zone, at a high level to rectify the Bills putting him on the field. So I do think, because look, I don't think it's a scheme fit, right? However, he still hasn't shown in his man reps. I mean, I think it's a little unfair to say this, but the Calvin Ridley game was a good example of that, where that was a situation where you are a man. Like, this is a good fit for you, supposedly, right? And at that game, Ridley's a ball player. I mean, I think he's a player that we kind of forget about because he was gone for 2 years, but that boy can ball. And that was an example of a game where, hey, everyone at home, I just want to let you know, this is what Kaiir Elam is his strong suit, and he didn't have a great game. So, like I said, and we all alluded to, a mental reset, because that's what's needed from him right now.
Excellent. Appreciate your analysis. And one quick analysis of the high school season. You had some good games last night. I know I saw you at the East game. Were you impressed with how East handily defeated Canandaigua last night?
I was, especially the history of that East Canandaigua rivalry, right? I mean, East has had their number in the regular season the past couple of years, but in the postseason, Canandaigua then took it to them. They're the Grey Wolves now, Canandaigua now, so that's going to take a little bit for me to get used to calling them the Grey Wolves. But
same here.
They've beaten them 3 out of the last 4 years, Canandaigua has. And like anybody, that can have like a little bit of a mental like block for you, right? To a certain extent. Like every time you step on this field, like, oh, here we go again. If something doesn't go your way in that game, you're like, oh, we don't have a chance now. And early in that game, East marched right down the field on a 4th down to tie the game up at 7. East could have easily folded them and like, well, we've been here before. We know how this story goes, right? But I was proud of them boys, man. They were able to bounce back. Zamir Jackson is a great ball player. Irvin Wiggins doing his thing per usual. Anthony Diaz, Kelvin Shepard. The fact that they were able to get the monkey off their back, quote unquote, and have a game of that type of magnitude at home in front of the fans was very encouraging to see. And they're going to have another stiff test next week against Brighton, but I'm sure that they'll bring it. I know Coach Leon over there at Brighton is a hard bar, is a tough ball coach himself. So East definitely impressed me last night. We were talking about that at the office when I got back last night.
Yes, indeed. And also, I went to the UPrep game, caught some of the second half of UPrep versus Hilton, and I thought UPrep really, man, Hilton is a tough team. They run that football. They what want the Bills to be more. Run that football, man. Hilton was running that football down there. They stopped them some plays, other plays. Lowry and another back broke loose for some nice yardage. Their passing game was a little suspect at the end. They're a team that can't be behind. And they were behind in that game at the end, and that's where UPrep was able to force their will on them and stop and break up some key passes late in that game. A 22-14 win by UPrep. UPrep will play McQuaid next weekend, and we got East playing Brighton next weekend, next Saturday. Both games on Saturday at neutral sites. Carl, what's your take for next week? I think they'll both be a couple good football games.
There'll be a couple great football games. I mean, I was at the McQuaid Aquinas game. McQuaid kind of used their experience down the stretch. Aquinas is a little bit of a younger team this year, led by first-year coach Mo Jackson. But McQuaid leaned on that experience in that second half. They were down to a rival, didn't fold at all. I don't think they didn't give up a point in the second half. Excuse me. John Harding, a great running back for the Knights. That's gonna be an exciting one to watch for sure. They haven't met each other this year, so McQuaid. UPrep, two different styles to a certain extent. UPrep can really sling the ball around. C.J. Robinson is a fantastic running back, but I'm excited to see how that one turns out. And then, like I just alluded to, man, East and Brighton. On paper, you will probably lean East just based off the athletes that they have. But Brighton, over the past month or so, has run the ball on any and everyone. So I'm sure that they're not going to be fearful of anyone once they step on the field. But, man, I just love this time of year. Even though I was a DB, the pads get to popping. It's a little colder out there. You know, who want to stick their face in the fan and go tackle somebody? It's fun. It's really fun, man. And I think one of the coolest parts of high school sports, because we've all been athletes before, is just seeing the kids raise that sectional title break that they worked so hard for all off season for. And in a situation like East, where it's been nearly 2 decades since they've done that.
Yeah,
just knowing the kids being able to, if they were able to do so. Brighton, I don't think has ever won one similar to, UPrep and I know McQuaid has been there before, but just seeing the kids get rewarded in that fashion is definitely always one of the funnest parts of the job.
Excellent. And thank you very much for coming on Real Deal Sports Show, Carl Jones.
Last thing, Carl Jones, excellent high school reporter. I'm catching you on YouTube constantly. You're doing a great job. You keep me informed of what's going on in Section 5, and just keep up the great work, man. Where can they find you at? Yeah,
man, I appreciate you. That really means a lot. You can find me on Twitter at Jones11_. Once again, Jones11_. Like you guys just referred to. I'll give some breakdown on the Bills. Usually from a defensive back perspective. I like to really focus in on that stuff and try to make my lane in that way. So if you think it was Dane Jackson's fault, I got you. Just because he was in the picture really wasn't his fault. Like, whether you think it was Micah Hyde or Sewell Douglas or Christian Benford, if you want to know where they messed up, I got you. Whether that's during the game, all 22, whatever the case may be. Even if I don't know, I'll tell you what direction I'm leaning towards, because I'm not in the meeting room with these guys, right? But I think I've seen enough to know, have an inclination of what maybe went on out there. So, and then also, like y'all just talked about, love the kids in terms of the high school coverage, and give them their love. So you can find that type of stuff on my Twitter as well.
Absolutely. Once again, thank you so much for coming on the show. We're going to have you back, definitely, Carl Jones, TV8. See him on TV8. See him on their Instagram, on the social media as well. And we'll catch you again real soon.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all. Y'all be blessed.
All righty. At Batsman, we're going to go to an interview with Coach Young, head coach of UPrep, talking after last night's victory over Hilton. Weeks ago, and now you were right back at it with him.
I bound back from you. If I can talk.
Yeah, you got a good match. Talking to the players. What was the key tonight to beating them? You played them a few weeks ago, and now you were right back at it with them.
Battling through adversity. Our kids deal with adversity all the time, just looking how they look, being who we are, where we live, things of that nature. And a lot of times people like put that spin on it that they can't do it. They can't battle through adversity. And tonight they show they absolutely can. And I couldn't be more proud of them.
Even with the bad calls or questionable calls, they seem to really not take it personally, but really come back and continue as a unit.
Yeah. I mean, we know what it is. We dealt with it all year. But you know what? The second half, they came out just like they did the first half. The mission that was to get to a sectional championship.
How do you instill that in the kids? The bounce back. Don't worry about what's being done. Just remember what we have to do.
I mean, truth be told, I'm tough on them. There's no two ways about it. But it's for me, it's because I feel like if I'm not tough on them, then they're not going to be ready for the real world when they leave me. So I want them to experience as tough as they can with me possible, within the realm of what I should be doing as a coach and teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they leave me, they're ready for the real world. And as that happens throughout the season, throughout the years, they grow, they mature, they understand that they can fight through the tough stuff.
Absolutely. Now for next week's game, how do you get these guys back ready to go?
I mean, it must be said, they got a shot at the ship, and this is what we do all this stuff, the hard work all year leading up to the season 4. So it must be said besides that.
Yes, indeed. And that was head coach Young of UPrep talking about a game that had a lot of penalty flags out there, a lot of flags were on the ground, but they didn't get deterred. They continued to play hard. And I'm really impressed, J-GILLZ, how his team, they didn't sulk. They were mad about some calls. They went back in the huddle and they just let it go and went on to the next play. I mean, they seem so mature out there, and that's why I really liked his answer that, hey, he's preparing these guys for real life because life isn't going to go. It ain't going to be a bowl of cherries, right, J-GILLZ?
Absolutely not. Things definitely happen as it goes on. But way to go on head coach and getting his team prepared. And it's going to be a great showdown next week. I'm so excited. McQuaid versus UPrep, 2 undefeated teams. It's going to be a great one.
Yes, indeed. And we're going to go, and our next guest, we're going to go to East High School with Anthony Diaz. We're going to hear from Anthony Diaz from East High School, his comments after East's victory, 38-14 win over Canandaigua.
Anthony Diaz.
Anthony, what was the key tonight to the victory?
Just working together as a team, executing every single play. And, we get good results, and now we got to win. Now we're on to the finals.
What did it mean so much of beating this team, even though because you guys lost to them last year in a tough, heartbreaking game last season during the sectional?
It means a lot because I've been starting on varsity since freshman year, and they've been beating us ever since. So, we always had a chip on our shoulder, especially this game. This being my senior year, just got to leave everything on the field.
Okay, for next week, what you got to do next week?
Win the break. That's our goal.
All right, thank you so much. There you go. And that was Anthony Diaz, very nice young man. He does an excellent job out there. He was a key player. The quarterback, Zymir Jackson, man, he took some shots, man. He took some NFL type hits, man, from Canandaigua. He held that ball to the last second, but man, he paid for it, but he got the receipt, he got the plays. He was dinged up a few times. He stayed in the game. I mean, that Zymir Jackson, our hats off to you. You're a tough cookie out there, man. Tough young man. The whole team East, you can see they've lost to that team. I saw them lose to them in the sectionals a year ago out at, I believe it was in Brockport. It was raining. It was raining cats and dogs out there, man. This raining so hot, and the ball was slippery, and East couldn't. The weather was so bad, inclement weather, that they couldn't get into their offense. They couldn't get their passing game going last year, but they got it going last night. It was just very windy last night out there at the stadium at East High. Very good game. They played very hard. The running game worked for them, but their quick option passing, pass option plays. Canandaigua was just a little bit slow on those plays, but Canandaigua was still a very physical football team, and that was a great win for to finally beat Canandaigua. Now they got to go up against Brighton next week for the Class A championship. And then in Class AA, you got to have McQuaid versus UPrep. So you got 2 great games, as Carl Jones said, 2 great matchups next Saturday night. Come on out, football fans. Come out and see. This is some really good quality high school football. These kids are, they're so big and these quick and they're fast. And man, strong. I'm just amazed because when I played back in the late 70s, early 80s, man, I was 232 pounds on the line. You got guys 300 pounds. Some of these teams' whole line is everybody's 300 pounds on these offensive lines, J-GILLZ, and in high school.
Oh my God. No, that's almost a no, you gotta get that together, man. These kids need to lose some weight, man. They ain't all going to the league now.
But they're
we went
fast, man. They're quick. They're going somewhere. Some of them probably going to Division I or II colleges that I saw out there last night, man. They're quick, man. Quick big men. Number 78 looks very promising. I apologize, I don't have your name, but 78 for East, man. This guy's humongous, man. He was out there doing some serious blocking on that offensive front for East High. 78 and 76. They East have some big linemen that can big tackles that can. And that running game was working right behind him and gave him time to pass. One time, 78 just pancaked the kid. You could just hear the kid. You heard all the air come out the kid, man. Because I'm on the sideline. I said, "Oh my gosh, man!" I mean, he just pancaked the kid on a passing play. Tackle 78. And oh man, you could just hear the air come out the kid. I said, "Ooh, man!" I said, "Wow!" I said, "Man, this 2023 football is something else." But good luck to all the teams. Monroe plays Wayne today in the Class B. I know Monroe, some of their coaches were out checking the game out last night. Good luck to Monroe against Wayne High School. That's at 1 o'clock on Monroe Avenue. The football field is right up against the field, so you got no excuse. If you're out and about, hey, come on out, put a hoodie on, put a hat on, come on out and see some good football, because that Monroe-Wayne game should be a good one at 1 o'clock today. And I'm probably, Carl Jones will probably be out there covering that one as well. So check him out and say hello to our friend of the show, Carl Jones from TV8 as well. And the show is sponsored by Challenger Community News, Western U.S. largest weekly African-American newspaper. Pick us up at most businesses in the community throughout the area. Check out Challenger Community News. Excellent articles in the paper this week on the election. You got a lot of election information in there. A lot of Dress for Success. Rochester gets a grant for a mobile boutique for that dress. Congratulations for Dress for Success. Yes, indeed. You got a lot of good. Trevor Wiggins, outstanding youth. Congratulations to Trevor Wiggins, honorary student chair of the Rochester Educational Foundation Awards. So congratulations to Trevor Wiggins on his achievement, and keep up the good work. This all in Challenger Community News. You got Sports Star, you got my article, you got Greg Parker's article. Our sports department gives you second to none, and there's a lot of great news you can use each week in Challenger Community News. And last but not least, support Image Printer, marketing and publishing company. Another friend of the show, Manuel Floyd. Give him a call, 585-360-0132. Make sure you if you got any printing needs, business card, flyers, even tents, banners, the whole 9 yards. This is where we go to. When we need it, we go to Manuel Floyd. He makes it happen for us at Image Printer Marketing and Publishing Company. Once again, the phone number 585 area code 360-0132. There we go. And we gotta go right into the games as we man. Well, you know, when the show gets rolling, it gets rolling, J-GILLZ.
Oh yeah.
And the bet, we won you some money last week. I hope you took the Dolphins last week. We had that money right for you on that game. I told you about the Steelers last week. And they come again with a win. They covered the spread once again. Keep an eye. Those were some excellent football games last week, where the Rad Man gave you some excellent suggestions and picks of covering some of those games a week ago. This week, one of my specials this week, I'm gonna go over to Monday night. The LA Chargers, just not a good football team. There's something about the LA Chargers that just doesn't seem right. The Jets are getting points, and the Jets are playing at home at MetLife Stadium on a Monday night. You saw what happened when the Bills went out there and messed around, and Josh Allen seemed like he didn't know where he was on the first week of the season. You were sitting right next to me, J-GILLZ, at that Monday night game. Man, this seemed like a few weeks ago. It doesn't even seem like it was 9 weeks ago.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's going fast. But I take the points with the Jets. Monday night, upset. Jets right now getting 3 points, 3.5. The Chargers don't blow anybody out. And I mean anybody. I mean, that just shows you how bad the Bears were, man. They look like a high school team out there, the Chicago Bears. I don't even know. Who's that quarterback, Division II or III guy? Man, that's just what he looked like.
I don't even know, right? And right. I don't even know who Justin Fields' backup is.
Exactly. So hopefully Ryan Poles is making some moves. He brought in Montez Sweat. They must going to pay him a big contract because he's in his contract year. Carl Jones mentioned we were at the East Canandaigua game. I interviewed Ryan Poles when he was a player for Canandaigua Academy. Now he's the general manager of the Chicago Bears. I even interviewed his dad, Junior Poles, former Rochester police officer. He even pulled me over for a speeding ticket. I said, wait a minute, who's it? The big guy came up, Junior Poles. This guy came up, looked like a bear, man. He took up my whole, the driver's side window. You look, man, that guy took. I couldn't even, the sun was out. I couldn't even see the sun no more. This guy, I was like, man, wait a minute, sir. I'm on Hudson Avenue coming back from a hockey game. I was playing hockey in Buffalo, came back. I was back in the early day, 86, 85, 86, coming back and forth between Buffalo. I was playing hockey at the time with a hockey team over there in Buffalo, New York. And man, he brought me. I said, excuse me, sir. Yeah, I was trying to get back to the house. I'm just tired. I got through playing hockey. But hey, by the way, were you a football player or something? Because I can't even see the sun no more. You just block. Man, the sun, it looked like it just turned to nighttime all of a sudden. And he just broke out laughing, man. He just started laughing. He said, who are you, man? What? And we talked, man, for about 20 minutes, man. And needless to say, he didn't, man, I talked my way out of that ticket, I guess, man. He was in a good mood. Give me, but yeah, that's it. His dad, Junior Pose, Ryan Pose, just to give you some history. You never know where you meet people. You never know if you get pulled over by the police that you know this guy years. And I interviewed him later because he was coaching. He was one of the assistant coaches at Canandaigua. So I got a chance to interview him as an assistant coach at Canandaigua High School. And now Ryan Pose is, who I covered as well, is now the general manager of Chicago Bears. So it's a small world. Hopefully we can figure out what's going on. Tyson Baggett, Division II from a school called Shepherd. Thanks, Big O. Thanks, Big O, for giving me that on Tyson Baggett. And speaking of Tyson Baggett, the Chicago Bears, hey, look at the New Orleans Saints with a good defensive unit. They'll cover those 8 points. Take New Orleans. They should win by 10 or more. I think Derek Carr got cussed out in the locker room for cussing out his players on TV and on the field and everything. And now, hey, speaking of Derek Carr, I can see why you left. Vegas. Man, that guy done lost his mind, man. They had a mutiny. I think it was a mutiny on the plane, man. They said, yo, you take a separate flight back, man, because those players were hot with. And you see, Josh McDaniels was the problem. And then you go back to the Chandler Jones situation where the Raiders called the police on him unnecessarily, saying that he might be a mental health risk. You know, you add all of this is adding up now, and it's adding up to, hey, you ain't a very nice guy, Josh McDaniels. You didn't deserve the job to begin with. You quit on the Indianapolis Colts, and then you go out to LA, to Vegas, and you ruin that team. How many jobs can this guy? How can he even be up for a coaching job, J-GILLZ?
The only job that's waiting on him is the offensive coordinator with Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. That's the only job that he can do.
That's the only job. You know he's gonna go back there with Bill Belichick. You know that because this guy, he's arrogant. I mean, now I see. I mean, how you tell Derek Carr to leave? Now, this guy told Derek Carr, don't even come to the building for the last 3 weeks of the season, and you go with Jimmy Garoppolo, a pop gun armed quarterback.
Right.
And before that, he got the job in Denver with the Denver Broncos. He got rid of the Denver quarterback and started Tim Tebow. What's wrong with this dude, man? It's something wrong with Josh McDaniels, man. You don't want a good quarterback, man? What? He got rid of that quarterback. I can't even think of who it was. He was a hell of a lot better than Tim Tebow. Got rid of that dude and put Tim Tebow. Now you come to the Raiders, you get rid of Derek Carr to go to pop gun Jimmy Garoppolo. Come on, the man can't throw the ball 30 yards down the field, man. What? You trying not to win? What you doing?
Devontae Adams is irate right now. He's livid in this situation.
Man, he is hot, man. Devontae Adams. The trade deadline is over. They're not going to trade him anyway. They're going to try to keep him and obviously try to get and then they got a rookie who they say got a strong arm. So they're going with the rookie. Let's see what he can do and get the ball down the field. We saw what Will Levis did for DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins looked like the old DeAndre Hopkins back last Sunday, and he looked pretty good Thursday night, even though they lost the game. Man, why were you sitting Levis on the bench behind pop gun arm, injury-prone Tannehill?
And Vegas should have drafted Levis.
All right, fellas. I know we can go all night, man, but we got to wrap this up.
Oh, thank you, man. Got carried away there, man. You know, you could have been jumped in, Bax, man. You know what?
I know, man. I was trying to let you get it. You know, when you get going, it's hard to get you to, but I want to let you get it all out, man. But yeah, we gotta take this break, man. The Bills gotta get paid.
Only bad news for you, Bax, man. I'm going with Philly. Take Philly against Dallas on Sunday. I just don't think Philly will be able to.
I'm not going to accept that.
That's my last pick of the week. Take Philly I think they're gonna win it outright. The Cowboys. It's a big game for your boy Dak. Dak got to put
It
up a
is.
shut
It's a
up
big.
this week.
I mean, Dak's been playing well as of late, and hopefully he can continue to do that. And our defense, I think, will hold up. I think Philly's been getting exposed as of late,
Yep.
and a couple of close games that they've won. But I don't know if Dallas plays Dallas's ball game, then I think we got a good shot at winning. So.
And and you're right. There's holes in the Philadelphia Eagles and the San Francisco 49ers, as we're saying. So it's wide open. The NFC is wide open, as well as the AFC.
I'm ready for it. So
and I'm ready for your music. I'm ready for you to get down. I can't wait till you're from 10 to noon is my favorite part of your show. I look forward to the Luther Vandross song coming up. But that 10 to noon, you just turn it out, man.
Thank you, my brother. I'm about to get to it. You guys have a great weekend. Real Deal Sports of all sorts. Talking sports of all sorts, that is. Real Deal Sports Show. J-GILLZ, fanatic out there somewhere, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Listening and doing his thing. And Radman, you already know what it is, man.
All right. Make the day your day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Keep it where you need it, Rock City. The Back of Time Mix Show is on the way right here on the beat, 105.5.
There we go.
Excellent.